class. Welcome to Language Arts. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, and we're looking at my favorite Disney movie of all time, and that is Tangled. So get ready, and let's begin. So like I said, today we're focusing on Tangled, and we're specifically focusing on the song I've Got a Dream. And in that song, Rapunzel has escaped her tower and is meeting up, unfortunately or fortunately, with a group of villains. And she is basically sharing her dreams and trying to convince them to join her and let her go. They are also sharing their dreams. So that's kind of the plot or the story behind the song. So you have a series of activities. I'm seeing my lovely Walmart bag in the back there. You have a series of activities here, so in your Wiser Me page, but I also want you to take a moment and reflect. If you were singing this song, what would your dream be? Explain in the space provided. Now, it can either be humorous, maybe something you're dreaming about ever since the coronavirus started, or it could be simple. It could be something or it could be more serious, like what do you want to be when you grow up? What's your deepest desire? What is your dream? Write that in the space shown. All right, so then we also have our comprehension here. Let's go through it together. Circle all of the words in the boxes that are synonyms for the word malicious. Now, there's two things I want to review with this. The first is that synonym means same, antonym means different. So synonym same, antonym different. Keep that in mind as you're going through these activities and this comprehension. The other thing I want us to remember is that word part M-A-L or mal means bad. And so what could I put together? How could I use those context clues that we talked about earlier in this year to help me better understand what that means? Okay, so you're circling all the words in the box that are synonyms of malicious. Number 2. All of the following are examples of dreams expressed by the characters in the song except A, being a concert piano player, B, collecting models of unicorns, C, becoming an evil criminal, or D, being an interior designer. Number 3, which is a pair of words expresses a set of antonyms? A, sublime and wonderful, B, lover and fighter, C, scream and dream, or D, florist and interior designer. Number 4, which word or phrase best completes the Venn diagram based on the lyrics from this song? Whoops. A, both have things about them that they want badly and are dreaming about. B, both come from similar life circumstances. C, Rapunzel is more optimistic and upbeat. Or D, Flynn Rider does not want to participate in the song. So remember, if you're having trouble with this comparing and contrasting, remember we did a whole unit on it earlier in the year. I believe it was even like the second week of school. So feel free to look back to that in our Ultimate Language notebooks. Remember, compare, we're looking for things that are the same. Contrast, we're looking for things that are different. So it's very similar to that synonyms and antonyms, but synonyms and antonyms are just with words and phrases. Compare and contrast is usually talking about like characters, settings, themes, etc. So not too tricky for that one. Make sure that you've paused, you've answered these questions, and that if you're at the screen at this time, you've either answered these questions on a separate sheet of loose leaf paper or in your Ultimate Language notebook. Okay, so if you're here, we are talking about the review from yesterday's Out of My Mind. So chapter 10, how does Melody have a sense of humor even though she can't talk? Melody makes jokes in her head and is even able to tell her mother she is fat using her communication board. How has Melody's condition affected the rest of her family? Her parents are definitely stressed trying to take care of her and her sister. It is often hard to get them dressed, fed, and out the door on time. Chapter 11, what are inclusion classes? This is where students from age 5 can go to learn in a quote-unquote regular classroom. How does getting an electric wheelchair help Melody? Melody is able to have more movement on her own with her wheelchair. How do the other students treat Melody and the others in the inclusion class? They're a bit curious and almost treat them like they're not there. A few students make fun of them. Who is Rose? Is she a good friend to Melody? Is Melody as good of a friend to her as she is to Melody? Rose is a girl who sits next to Melody in some inclusion classes. She is nice to Melody, but they can't really have long or good conversations. So this is kind of the answers to our nonfiction article that you should have completed yesterday. Number 1, an inclusion classroom is where C, students with disabilities and without disabilities have class together. Number 2, which of the following is not a result of passing IDEA or EHA? A, education became a lot more expensive for students with disabilities. If you go back to the text, you can actually see that it says the opposite. That's education for students like Melody, students with disabilities, was a lot more expensive before these two things were passed. Continuing on, what is an IEP? An IEP is an individualized education plan developed by a school for families that allow students to get the adjustments, interventions, and care that they need. What are some ways that education has changed for students like Melody in the last 100 years? Before some laws like IDEA were passed, students with disabilities were not guaranteed an education. Then students were secluded in their own classrooms. Now inclusion classrooms are becoming more and more popular. Over time, more students with disabilities are graduating high school and reading, which is awesome. So these are two chapters that we're reading today. Chapter 12, even though Melody likes inclusion classes, what frustrations are there for her? What does she wish she could change? Chapter 13, what kind of sibling is Penny like? What is the experience Rose and Melody have at the aquarium? What is good and what is bad? And what does Melody's mom mean when she tells Claire, you're a lucky girl that you only had messed up teeth? Remember that. Which is kind of an awesome comeback and burn all at the same time. So that is our lesson for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you're doing all of the work on WiserMe and that you're reaching out and asking any questions if you have them. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.